player in the world, just said, nah. Just said, nah. I'm not playing. Just said, nah. I'm not playing. 12 minutes, 4 points, and people are not happy. People were not happy at all about how, actually, Kayla Thornton put in a little bit of effort, about how Aja Wilson played in the All-Star game. And look,
the recent WNBA All-Star Game generated significant controversy regarding player participation levels and competitive intensity. Spectators expressed particular frustration with certain athletes' minimal engagement during the exhibition contest. Overall participation appeared lackluster across both teams, with most competitors demonstrating limited enthusiasm for meaningful basketball competition. Few players exhibited genuine competitive drive or sustained effort throughout the contest duration. Notable exceptions included Brianna Stewart and possibly Skylar Diggins-Smith, who displayed marginally higher energy levels compared to their teammates. However, these isolated instances of engagement failed to elevate the overall competitive atmosphere of the showcase event.
In the All-Star game. And look, I don't think it really matters if she tried or not. I don't think Aja Wilson putting in effort changes how that game is perceived. I don't think Aja Wilson putting in effort would have changed anything. I saw a load of people really pissed off, being like, "Oh, Aja Wilson was drafted. She was drafted to win them the game. Like Caitlin picked her to go win the game." I mean, if nothing else, I think Caitlin would have gone full.
Aja Wilson's performance became the primary focal point of criticism following the game. The Las Vegas Aces star accumulated merely 4 points across 12 minutes of playing time, leading to widespread debate about her commitment to the exhibition format. Wilson's minimal statistical production sparked intense reactions from basketball enthusiasts, particularly given her status as the league's reigning most valuable player. Many observers expected significantly greater effort from someone widely considered the sport's premier talent. Jackie Young exemplified the widespread disengagement by participating for only 53 seconds despite starting the contest. Her brief appearance highlighted how numerous established stars treated the event as a ceremonial obligation rather than competitive basketball.
I mean, if nothing else, I think Caitlin would have gone full vibes if it wasn't for having to pick the starters. I'm surprised she didn't just go, you know what, we're going full vibes, Paige, you're going in. People are like, oh, we need size. Hell no, you don't need size. You don't need size at all. Like, I think a lot of people in general are just looking too far into this. Like, I think a lot of people are looking.
The criticism directed toward Wilson intensified due to existing negative perceptions among certain fan segments. While multiple players demonstrated similar lack of engagement, Wilson's reputation made her performance particularly scrutinized by online commentators and basketball analysts. Caitlin Clark's selection of Wilson for her All-Star roster created additional expectations for competitive performance. Some observers argued that Clark specifically chose Wilson to help secure victory, making the veteran's lackadaisical effort more disappointing to supporters. However, analysis suggests that Clark likely prioritized entertainment value over strategic team construction. Given the exhibition nature of the event, serious competitive considerations probably influenced roster decisions less than fan engagement and spectacle creation.
Way too far into this. It was an all-star game. It was an all-star game. And to be fair, a large chunk of people were putting money on Aja Wilson to gamble, and I mean, we've seen what the gamblers do. We've seen what the gamblers do. In general, the game was an absolute joke. But like, let's be real. What players did not take it seriously? Sabrina, Aja.
Gambling interests complicated reactions to player performances, as numerous bettors placed wagers on individual statistical achievements. Wilson's underwhelming production likely affected betting outcomes, contributing to heightened criticism from financially invested spectators. The game's competitive integrity remained questionable throughout, with most participants treating the contest as entertainment rather than serious basketball competition. Multiple players demonstrated minimal defensive effort while focusing primarily on offensive highlight attempts. Team Fee established early dominance, building substantial leads that persisted throughout multiple quarters. The eventual 20-point margin reflected the competitive imbalance rather than genuine contested basketball between equally motivated squads.
Aja. Leah took it kind of seriously. Gabby Williams took it kind of seriously. Kiki took it seriously. She just kept missing threes. She did hit a 4, though. Kayla Thornton took it kind of seriously. Sonia Citron, I mean, she was dribbling the ball for foot. Sykes was just out there chucking. And on this team, like, Kelsey Plum in the first quarter, she dominated in the first quarter. Kayla McBride literally just chucked fours. She just chucked fours and then happened to touch the ball at a three-point shot at one stage.
Sabrina Ionescu showed moderate engagement levels, though her effort remained inconsistent across different game situations. Similarly, Leah Boston and Gabby Williams displayed occasional competitive moments while maintaining overall relaxed approaches to the exhibition format. Kelsey Plum dominated early proceedings during the opening quarter before reducing her intensity level. Kayla McBride focused exclusively on three-point attempts, largely ignoring other basketball fundamentals throughout her playing time. The contest featured minimal defensive resistance, creating an environment resembling practice scrimmage rather than professional basketball competition. Fast break statistics remained surprisingly low despite the apparent lack of transition defense from both teams.
Fiat 36. It was a 20-point game from the first quarter. Like, it was it was near 20 in the first quarter. It was above 20 at halftime. And then it became 20 from 24 in the fourth. It was awful. It was awful. Like, they had a 27-point lead. Ironically, only 18 and 13 fast break points, which is kind of crazy. That just shows the WNBA how little they actually track fast break points.
Statistical tracking appeared inconsistent, particularly regarding fast breakpoints and defensive categories. The league's scoring methodology seemed limited to specific situations rather than comprehensive game analysis. Brianna Stewart's 36-point performance represented the game's lone example of sustained competitive effort. Despite earning MVP recognition, her individual excellence failed to inspire broader team engagement or competitive intensity from surrounding players. Alyssa Thomas, despite ranking second in regular season MVP voting, displayed obvious disinterest in meaningful participation. Her attitude exemplified how numerous elite players approach the All-Star format with minimal professional commitment.
How little they actually track fast break points. They literally, when it comes to fast break points, they only track it off a steal. But yeah, it's something that I don't really care. I don't really care how much AJ Wilson wants to put in effort. Like, I don't care when you.
Individual effort from select players proved insufficient to elevate the overall competitive standard. Even exceptional individual performances failed to inspire team-wide engagement or create authentic basketball competition between the assembled rosters. Caitlin Clark's hypothetical participation likely would not have improved the competitive atmosphere significantly. Analysis suggests she would have focused primarily on three-point shooting attempts rather than comprehensive basketball fundamentals. The exhibition format inherently limits competitive motivation as players prioritize injury prevention and entertainment over victory pursuit.
How much AJ Wilson wants to put in effort. Like, I don't care when Jokic puts in no effort. I don't care when Luka puts in no effort in an All-Star game. Specifically them. If everyone was putting in effort and AJ Wilson wasn't trying, it's an issue. But when nobody tries, I don't care if one specific person doesn't try. You can make the argument, if AJ put in effort, it would change everything. No, it wouldn't. Fee is the MVP of the league and at 36 points. She is the MVP and at 36 points. Alyssa Thomas is second in MVP.
This fundamental tension between showcase expectations and competitive reality creates consistently disappointing all-star experiences. Defensive effort remained virtually non-existent throughout the contest, with players allowing uncontested scoring opportunities and avoiding physical contact. The resulting basketball resembled organized shooting practice rather than professional competition. Kelsey Plum's minimal defensive attention towards Sabrina Ionescu's three-point attempts exemplified the widespread lack of competitive engagement. Even basic defensive fundamentals received limited attention from most participants.
The biggest issue there and how it could be resolved.
I'm grateful you asked this. I have no problem with the physical.
I love how she literally goes, basically, thank you for asking this.
I think people are getting frustrated at the consistency.
I think she'd rather there not be the physicality. They've tried, they shove her as well. She doesn't get hit quite as far away from the basket as Caitlin Clark, so it's not as obvious. But they are very physical with her as well. They are physical. And that's one of the problems when it comes to why it's more... Everyone's like, oh, it happens to every guard, not just Caitlin. It's like...
The contest failed to provide entertainment value beyond individual scoring displays, lacking the athleticism and creativity typically associated with all-star exhibitions. Without spectacular dunking ability, the event devolved into repetitive layup exchanges. Competitive intensity remained consistently low across both teams, with brief moments of engagement quickly returning to exhibition-level effort. No sustained periods of genuine basketball competition emerged during the entire contest duration. The game's structure and incentives failed to motivate meaningful participation from elite athletes, creating a spectacle that disappointed both casual observers and dedicated basketball enthusiasts seeking competitive entertainment.
Caitlin, it's like, yeah, it's a problem with every guard. It's just more noticeable with Caitlin because they do it further away from the basket. Like, Caitlin gets shoved on an island 45 feet from the basket. Like, it's very noticeable when that happens. It's a lot more noticeable when that happens than when players are being physical inside the paint or close to the three-point line.
So it's like a ticky-tack here, and then someone gets absolutely assaulted over here.
That's as good a way of describing it. I've always called it, they will ignore a hack and call a phantom foul.
Criticism of individual performances seems misplaced given the systematic lack of engagement across both rosters. Targeting specific players ignores the broader structural issues that prevent all-star games from achieving competitive authenticity. The exhibition's format inherently conflicts with competitive basketball expectations, creating unrealistic standards for player performance evaluation. Judging all-star participants by regular season criteria ignores the fundamental differences between showcase and competitive environments. Future all-star events may require structural modifications to encourage greater player engagement and competitive intensity.
Phantom foul.
And like, where's the line? And when do we call it? And why do we call it? And I also think too, like, a lot of teams specifically play me very physical, which I get, just to try to like wear me down throughout the game. But a foul is a foul. So a foul in the first quarter is a foul in the fourth quarter.
Not according to these refs. That's honestly how the Fever... Why the Fever and Sun game is the best example of that. Like, they roughed up Caitlin Clark early. And I don't mean that in like a they tried.
Current incentive systems fail to motivate elite athletes toward meaningful participation in exhibition contests. The disappointing competitive level reflects broader challenges facing professional basketball all-star formats across multiple leagues. Traditional exhibition structures struggle to balance entertainment value with authentic competitive engagement from elite athletes. Player safety concerns and injury prevention priorities naturally limit competitive intensity during exhibition contests. These legitimate considerations create inherent tension between fan expectations and player welfare in all-star formats.
Roughed up Caitlin Clark early. And I don't mean that in like a they try to hurt her way. I just mean they were overly physical with her. They were hacking her. And through three quarters, they were getting away with it. Caitlin was struggling. She was struggling with the physicality. She was playing injured anyway, so she was struggling with the physicality while playing injured. And then in the fourth quarter, every single touch was a foul, and suddenly she's on the free throw line. Suddenly, the Indiana Fever spend the fourth quarter in the free throw line because they actually refereed the game properly in the fourth quarter, which is, in my opinion, they should have done for minute one, but you can't just start refereeing the game properly in the fourth quarter. It doesn't really work like that because a team that's used to playing a certain level of physicality.
Recent discussions have highlighted concerns about WNBA officiating, particularly regarding perimeter contact and consistency issues. These concerns were addressed during All-Star Weekend, with several prominent figures, including coaches and players, voicing frustrations about current referee standards. When questioned about perimeter contact issues that have become a frequent topic on ESPN broadcasts and among coaches like Becky Hammon and Stephanie White, Kelsey Plum expressed appreciation for the opportunity to address these concerns directly. Plum clarified that her objections don't center on physicality itself, but rather on the inconsistent application of rules throughout games. The fundamental issue involves referees making minor calls on inconsequential contact while ignoring significant physical infractions elsewhere on the court.
Physicality through 3 quarters, and then suddenly in the 4th quarter they can't play that physicality. Like that's not the way it should work.
And so it's like, hey, if you're not going to call it in the first, that's fine, but don't call it in the 4th, or let me guard them that way that they guard me. And so I think that just the officiating across the board, people have been frustrated with the lack of consistency. And so that, I do think that the refs, similar to a player, like if I don't play well and I'm being evaluated, I'm penalized for that.
This inconsistency creates confusion about enforcement standards and appropriate playing styles. Teams deliberately employ overly physical tactics against skilled guards, knowing referees often overlook such contact. While this strategy affects multiple players, the problem becomes more apparent with certain athletes who face contact further from the basket, making infractions more visible to spectators. The issue extends beyond individual players to encompass all guards facing similar treatment. However, when contact occurs at greater distances from the basket, particularly around mid-court areas, the violations become more obvious compared to physical play near the paint or three-point line.
I mean, penalized in a way of like your coach giving out to you. Like you're not really penalized for playing badly if you're a player. And honestly, what we've seen with the FIFA, you're not really penalized if you refuse to play.
The refs, they're not as penalized as we are. They don't get necessarily like it's like, oh, we review it, but like those 3 calls change the game, and like that's it. And so I think it's part of our sport. You have to be resilient and accept it, but at the same time,
Plum described the officiating pattern as inconsistent enforcement, where minor infractions receive attention while more egregious violations go uncalled. This creates uncertainty about when and why specific actions warrant whistles, undermining competitive integrity. Teams strategically employ physical tactics specifically designed to wear down skilled offensive players throughout games. However, violations should receive consistent treatment regardless of quarter or game situation. A foul committed in the first quarter should carry the same consequences as identical contact in the 4th quarter.
Change the game, and like that's it. And so I think it's part of our sport. You have to be resilient and accept it, but at the same time, I think they have to also grow, and the communication between the league, like the NBA comes out and says like, hey, in the 4th quarter, with these 2 calls, we missed both of these. I think that's really important for our league to grow in terms of its integrity, because like it should be like, hey, listen, the Alyssa Thomas with the Valkyries, like that's not a foul.
Yeah, right.
Come out and say it.
Right.
And like, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. And like, I stand by this. I stand by this.
Recent games have demonstrated this inconsistency clearly. In specific matchups, players faced excessive physical contact through 3 quarters without appropriate officiating response. When those same players struggled against the uncalled physicality, particularly while dealing with injury concerns, the disparity became more pronounced. Then, during 4th quarter play, officials suddenly began calling every minor contact, leading to frequent free throw opportunities for the previously disadvantaged team. While proper officiating eventually emerged, implementing correct standards only in final quarters creates unfair competitive conditions.
I stand by this. I stand by this. I understand money-wise it's hard, but like last 2-minute reports, proper sports criticism and proper sports like evaluation. Like, all of these things where, like, some players, like a Candace Parker argument, when it's a purely basketball argument, I will stand by these players trying to demand more respect from a purely basketball standpoint. Because they should. There are too many people watching these games for them to not get the sporting respect that they deserve. Let's be honest.
Teams that adapt their defensive approach based on early game officiating patterns shouldn't suddenly face different enforcement standards in crucial moments. This inconsistency affects game flow and competitive balance, creating frustration for players and coaches who cannot predict enforcement patterns. Plum advocated for consistent standards throughout entire games, suggesting that if officials choose not to call certain contact early, they should maintain those standards throughout, or alternatively, allow defensive players to employ similar physical tactics in response. The broader officiating concerns reflect systemic issues that require addressing for league credibility. Unlike player performance, which faces immediate evaluation and consequences, referee mistakes often lack equivalent accountability measures.